So my name is Ashton Dougan and I am a nursing professor here at the Faculty of Nursing at UPEI. I have never really fit into the typical mold of a student. I was always the type of person that couldn't really sit in class for 75-minute lectures or 3-hour lectures, and I think if you talk to most nurses, they would say the same thing. They went into nursing because they didn't want to sit behind a desk. Nursing itself is both an art and a science. And we really heavily look at that science piece and we follow that medical model really well. We give them a lot of information in the 4-year program. But we don't often tap into that art side. And that's the difficult part to teach. It's really difficult to teach things like empathy, caring, understanding. So what I did during the PowerPoint presentations that I was doing for other things is I put art up in every single slide. And we kind of stopped and talked a little bit about some of them. And I said, here's some examples of things that you could do. In the beginning, I had a lot of questions about the art-based assignment because people didn't really understand what I was asking for. The students didn't have to be an amazing artist to submit something. That's not what I'm not judging their art. I'm judging the connection of art to nursing to ethics. So as long as they could show me that trend, that was what I was really looking for. So it was just a neat outlet to try something different with students, and the uptake was quite good. 62 out of 89 students chose the art-based pedagogy assignment. When I was in my first position as a nurse, I was asked to take students for a preceptorship experience. So I was about 2-3 years out of nursing myself, and then you end up precepting a 4th-year student. And I had that 4th-year student and I was so excited, and I was like, I'm going to show you everything. Everything I know, I'm going to tell you everything. And she said to me, you should really teach. I thought, I'm not going back to school, there's no way. I didn't like school the first time, I'm not going back. There's no way. And then I kept getting preceptored students. And I kept growing in my profession. And I ended up doing the charge nurse position, the educator position, all these different positions. And people kept telling me, you need to go back to school, you need to teach. And then I started taking clinical groups. And those clinical groups have 7-ish students, and they go into different areas. So I worked at University of Calgary, I worked at Athabasca University, and I probably have had 30-odd groups of 6 or 7 students, and I took them to all different floors, medical floors, surgical floors, different floors. And a lot of the times the students told me the same thing. You need to teach, you need to teach, you need to keep doing this, you're doing what you should be doing. And I thought, okay, this is pretty validating and eye-opening. And I realized that as a nurse myself, I can protect 5 patients a day. I felt really like I was taking that protector role on. I was like, I can do all I can for these 5 people in 12 hours. That's not a lot. And then I thought, okay, when I'm precepting students, I can take a few more patients. When I've got 7 students, I can take 28 patients, and I can try my best to protect all of those patients. So moving into teaching now, I have 100 students a year that are all going to be in those different settings, different places, spread out along different, mental health placements, long-term care, all different places. And what I really want to teach them, the only thing I really want to teach them is advocacy. Look at the patient, listen to the patient, find out what they need, and get it for them. So I went back, I did my master's, and I focused on nursing, but I did education in my master's. I try my best to tell real stories, and those real stories, to help promote empathy in teaching, tell the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I might tell them some stories sometimes where I was totally embarrassed as a nurse. I made mistakes as a nurse. But if they don't hear it from me, they think that perfection is something that they need to achieve to be a nurse, and that's never going to be the case. What we're really looking for is if you make a mistake, what are your next moves? What next are you going to do to make sure that that patient remains safe? Or how can you then share your story so that other people don't make the exact same mistake? Every time you fail, it is a huge learning opportunity. And if they fail an assignment, you're not failing anything in life. You're growing, you're doing something different. You've maybe misunderstood something, but it's not failure.
So this was pretty explicitly out loud, but it's okay to take both.
So I generally get pretty good feedback from the students. They do tell me the thing that they appreciate most is the stories that I share in class. Often they'll tell me, it felt very real when you told me, you made this mistake and I made that mistake in whichever clinical that I was in, and I felt like at the time it was, the end of the world. And I tell them, you know what, you're going to keep making those mistakes. It's the next steps. You just need to protect the patient. You're doing the best that you can do. Mistakes are going to happen all throughout your career. And you really just have to acknowledge the mistake, learn from it, make sure that everybody is aware of the mistake. So you're going to tell the patient, you're going to tell the family, you're going to tell the physician, you're going to tell, the charge nurse, you're going to tell your nursing instructor, which is very difficult for students especially. And then you're going to move on and you're going to learn from it, and you're probably never going to make that same mistake twice.